Hello and welcome to tonight's show.
And hello and welcome to episode 182 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. In this show, we're going to be having a talk about 1/16th scale models, and very excited that we've got Mr. Hobby HQ himself, Andy, coming along to help us along with that discussion. Of course, we'll have the usual listener mail and what's new in the modelling world. But this episode is being brought to you by Brian Kerwin. Brian has generously decided to help us with our show, and you too can be just like Brian. Simply go to our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/onthebench, and pledge any amount from as little as $1 per month upwards. Your contributions are greatly appreciated by us and help us with our hosting and publication costs for the show. And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio I have with me Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day listeners.
And of course Julian is with us.
Good morning.
How are we, gentlemen?
Very good, thank you.
What's been happening?
Actually got a bit of bench time down last Sunday, which was
well
good.
done.
Yeah, first
Terrific.
time in a long while.
Yep. What were you building?
Working on the Nakajima Dave float plane. Just sanding.
A well-named aircraft, I'll say.
Yeah, you know, underpowered and over and too old for its time. Yeah, it's very apt.
Oh, geez, good on you.
But no, it's basically just getting the wings sanded.
Yep.
It's got very pronounced wing ribbing.
Yep.
So to keep so it's a bit tricky to sand the leading edges to not lose the ribbing. So that took.
Who's it made by?
Hasegawa.
Okay.
48 scale.
New kit or old kit?
Oh, no,
old kit.
Very old kit.
Yeah, okay.
Very old kit. But it's not a bad kit. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Were they Japanese Army or Navy?
Navy.
Okay.
Navy. Not the typical sort of a biplane reconnaissance aircraft.
Right,
that
got you
they
now.
Stuck
Yep.
on the back of battleships and heavy cruisers.
Right, okay.
Late 30s. Tipping into the very, very early 40s.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh. Julian.
Mostly been revamping my model desk.
Ooh.
The
you got some inspiration from all the
workbench, I
photos.
suppose I should call it.
And just talking about workbenches, man, haven't we had one heck of a response
nice.
to posting workbenches?
Yeah.
Is that where you've been inspired to revamp your workbench?
Well, some of it. I mean, there's obviously some really outrageous examples in that.
Some really cool examples.
On the what's the Facebook page called? On your bench.
On your bench, yes.
Yeah, really. Some of them are the most extravagant and impressive benches I've seen.
I know.
Like, I wouldn't have imagined people take things that far.
Well, there was one with a piano in it, and I said, "Oh, look, a baby grand," and the reply came back, "No, it's a full grand piano." Okay. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, I can't remember who it was. Who's he's going to kill me. I'm going to get an email about it now.
Yeah, of course you will.
I think it's Mark Casiglia or something.
Yes. That's right, it was.
Something like that.
Oh my God. But it's great because you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's a good idea." Like there was
a good idea to put a piano in your
not a piano. But there was, there's some little one, like there was one guy who had made up this racking system for all of the evergreen stuff.
Yes, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was inspired.
You just use the PVC tube.
Yeah, I thought that was inspired. So, because all mine just sitting in the drawer.
Same with me.
And you got constantly.
I've just got a box that I rummage through.
Yes.
Well, it's not something you need a lot. Unless you're the kind of person who
scratch builds a lot.
Scratch builds a lot.
Yeah, it's a good point too. But I just thought it was very clever.
Also, that was a very big room, so he has the space with which very specialized things like that.
No, it's very cool. And it was just wonderful. And thanks very much all of the listeners who actually posted pictures, because it was just a real lot of fun just to sort of peek in and have a look at what they're doing and how the rooms are set up and all that sort of stuff. It was very
so
cool.
some of them were very compact, and they made use of the space really well with some organization and sometimes very custom built shelving and other things. And some of them were quite messy, and some of them had multiple tables in there.
Yeah.
But,
I remember having to work on multiple desks, and I didn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
My old system.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, your new system isn't that far off it, to be honest. It just happens to be a much higher level.
My new system's awesome.
I know. But I mean, like, you had one computer table and you had one hobby table.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas now it's all one table.
Yeah. So the one table, I've got my workbench area then the centre section I've got because it's a 90-degree curve.
Yeah.
In the centre section's where my computer, on the right-hand side of the computer is my big spray booth.
Yeah.
And my airbrushing station.
Whereas in some of these cases, like, there was two tables that are opposite each other. So if you had one chair for that room,
you just spin around.
Yeah, you'd spin 180. And I don't know.
I just find mine handy because, especially when you're doing, like, you got research going on, so the computer being right in the middle. So no matter if I'm on the airbrushing station or on the workbench,
you've always got access.
I've always got access to that computer, and it's always in visual sight.
Yeah, I've got to get my computer or laptop set up in my workspace somehow.
A lot of guys will use a tablet.
Yeah, we were talking about this last episode. Yeah,
that's right. So don't forget what I said last episode.
No, I won't. But
the other cool looking one that I saw was the sort of attic style room that had the island bench in the center, and it was built out of like those big heavy steel workbench, drawers that you used for like a mechanics workshop or something.
Yeah. No, that was very cool.
You have to stand because like you can't get your legs underneath it, and it was standing height.
Well, that's not a problem. I've mentioned before that standing's not an issue.
Yeah,
and it's
as long as it's at a comfortable height and you're not stooping.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that would really cut. Like I wouldn't be able to.
It's better for your health too.
Yeah, it is.
I guess, but I don't think I could because, like, I mean, on one hand, like you would have to do that sort of stuff if you're working in a garage on things that are not models, right? Like you say you're working on a transmission or something in your garage or something along those lines, or doing woodworking, you would be standing. But the idea of standing for building models, that to me is
I'm not talking about
too much standing
while you're the whole time. But
I want to take a sit down and do this thing.
But occasionally, like I think what a good idea probably would be also getting those desks that you can
go up and down.
Yeah, because so once in a while, because sitting down for like a whole day, you want to at least be able to stand up for at least a few hours during that day. So you just raise your bench up and stand.
Well, so what I did
and it's more handy. Like if you're doing like working on larger pieces, it's a lot easier to stand. But I feel that if you're working on very small areas and doing fine details, it's usually better to sit down, and that way you can get your face right into what you're doing.
As for what I did to my room, so I basically have a desk and then a small area off to the side of it that I build my models on, and I'm gonna basically converge the two so that I'm using the main part of my desk to do both.
Yes.
So as a result, I've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff that's on my desk to make room. And one of the things I did is I put my computer monitor on an arm that's desk mounted so that it takes up less real estate on the desk. And then I bought a great big like the biggest I just bought one of those big what do you call them, the cutting mats.
The biggest self-healers.
Yeah, the biggest one I could find.
How big is it?
It's a meter in width, and it goes all the way up to the back of the desk.
Ooh,
geez, that's decent. Mine's large, but it's not quite that big.
Yeah, I got a big one too.
To be honest, I could have gone bigger because like you can get some.
Go big or go home.
So that's an in joke. So basically, I bought the biggest one I could reasonably fit on my desk, and you guys have had bigger desks than mine.
Yeah.
And you could fill all of that if you wanted to. You can get those great big workshop ones. Yeah, they tend to be in that classic green with yellow lines.
Yes.
Well, I don't mind that. I mean, I got one that was it was pink on one side and like a blue on the other side, and when I put some was it Terps or something, accidentally spilt it on there or something, it just ate right through. And you go, what the hell? So
I've had some thinners and things peel off the actual top layer.
Yeah, but the traditional green self-healing mats, they seem to be impervious to all that sort of stuff. So
right.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
You got to be careful you don't get El Cheapos, which is what I've got. So I'm going to buy a new one at some point.
Well, I bought a black one.
Oh, black.
Yeah, and it's
I've got a black
and
one.
It's two-sided.
Yeah.
So it's got inches on one side and it's got metric on the other.
I never used the graduations on the
I've got my own separate tools for all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I always tend to just throw a big sheet of white paper over the top anyway.
Do you really?
Yeah, I like having like a white background when I'm working.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I tried running black paper over the top once upon a time.
Yeah.
But, I even bought like extra. I still got the extra sheets of paper that I could throw on. But the problem is like what I'd end up doing is it would get, paint. It would get other things on it. It would get glue, and especially super glue because I would just wipe that crap off, like an actual barbarian, right? And instead of actually wiping it on something that I can throw away, I'd wipe it on that, and then I'd be too lazy to move all my bottles and glues and tools and things off of it to change out the piece of paper.
But what about just out of left field? What about flooring? What sort of flooring do we like to have around our desk, workbench? Because I know shagpole carpet's always out of the clear. That's a big no-no.
Yeah. Well, you can go lino or you can go, faux floorboards or carpet or tiles. It's really your only options.
See, I feel like if you're
what I did is I went to, I think it was Clark Rubber here in Australia. They're like a rubber specialist. And I bought, I think it was about 5 metre roll of, I think, 800 wide rubber floor mat.
Yeah.
That you can just cut up. And I've just cut that up and just put it around my desk. So if any paint spills, it's not going to fall on the carpet. Anything falls off the desk, it's a lot easier to find.
Right, yeah.
It's not getting buried in the carpet.
See, I like that, the idea of that. I can't really do much about it with my situation. But it would be nice. Like, that's the ultimate. That's when you've really dedicated the space to what you're doing, isn't it?
Well, as you guys know, I've just got carpet, but, I don't care if it spills paint or anything on it because, they carry me out of this house in the box, so I don't care if the carpet gets ruined.
The final house.
Well, if the carpet gets ruined, you can just replace a carpet in a room and it doesn't cost you that much anyway. So the only time we're going to remodel a house is when they're selling it to, when I'm dead, so I don't care. So I've got paint stains on it already.
Why don't you just get like
what if
fake floorboards next time, Dave?
What happens?
Just because it's a dedicated. Why have carpet in there?
Well, because that's where the house came with carpet already.
Right, yeah.
But it makes it noisier if there's not carpet in there. If there's like wooden floor.
What's wrong with a bit of what sort of noise?
I don't know. It just seems noisier and it seems colder. I'm quite happy
colder.
I'm quite happy with carpet, man. I don't care if it gets ruined.
I'm more concerned about losing bits to the carpet monster.
Oh, I don't have that trouble because of the way
he says now.
No, I've explained many times before how I solve that problem. So I'll find
a box.
No, I'll find a part that's very similar and I'll put it on the ground, and it trains your eye to look for that same size part. It's true. It works. It works.
So basically, just putting a torch on the floor.
No, he
just
puts
turning it around and putting your eyeball, face on the floor as well, and then anything that sits up high, you see straight away.
No, he puts an identical part on the floor.
Yeah,
and then loses that, and then he's released.
I've been working on things, and I've seen the part fall out of my hands, bounce off my leg, land on the floor, and then bounce away somewhere.
Yeah.
And then spent the next half hour to an hour searching for it on the floor. And then thought, you know what, I haven't found it. Maybe I should check the desk, and found it on the desk.
Yes, I've had that happen a few times where, especially when I'm working like on small photo etch or some very tiny plastic or brass part in a case, and you swear it's gone over your shoulder or down the side, and it's like you've given up. You're going, oh, it's gone. All right, let's either scratch build or, and then a couple of weeks later, you're like rummaging through, because I've got like a pot where I keep your paintbrushes in, and rummaging through the pot, and it's like, what's that in the pot? And there's the piece. It's like bounced up inside one of my tool holders.
See, I've visibly tracked the part falling onto the floor and then bouncing out of sight, and then found it on top of the desk.
Yep.
You know what I reckon it is? I reckon... No. It's not that. I reckon it's my brain sort of filling in the blanks and sort of going, well, I think... Like, you know, like, because there's a certain degree of your vision that is sort of like filling in the gaps. It's kind of like, you know, how like with AI, how they can add frames in between frames.
Yes. It's how they made the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They filled in the gaps.
Yeah. So that's
right, the DNA.
I reckon it's one of those things. Like your brain is taking what it's receiving from your eyes and then extrapolating that.
Oh, so it's not like that you've been concentrating that hard that you've created like a semi-black hole underneath your desk.
No.
So when the part falls into that black hole, that there's another black hole on top of your desk, drops it in.
Because there's a way of fixing that. You can wear aprons.
Funny you should say that. When I do ships, I've got these cheap plastic aprons that I got from the Bunnings or whatever, and I think you get about, I don't know, 50 or something for about $3 or something. They're worth nothing. And yeah, if I know I'm not moving anywhere and I'm working on tiny photo etch, I'll put one of these aprons on, but rather than have it hanging down, you
clip it onto
the edges of the desk. So anything that falls off, it's got like a catching parachute sitting underneath there.
Yeah, I can't do that.
No, I can't do that either. It feels too.
Imagine the phone rings and you go to quickly stand up from your desk and you just tear away everything.
Well, me, I'd forget all the time I'm connected, and I'd get up and lift it, and the whole desk would go woof.
No, you're going to nail it to the desk. You do these like little clips. As soon as you stand up, it goes unclips and it pops down again.
Anyway,
that's
anyway, so I've got a great big cutting mat. I've taken my monitor off the table, so it's like mounted to a pole that sticks off the table.
Taking your what off the table?
So the monitor
monitor.
So you know how like the monitor has like quite a wide base on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So now it's got like there's a hole drilled through the tabletop.
Sure.
And
for
it's got
cables.
a pole right that comes out of that.
Yep.
And then there's an arm and I can just grab my monitor and swing it around all over the place.
Cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I mean, like if I need to, I can have it off to the side.
But you're still painting in the garage, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that. But I'll do something about that. And then I ordered one of those little mini vacuum things.
Yeah, I got one of them at Canberra a couple of years ago. They're great. Little handheld vacuum.
Yeah, well, see, I wanted to get a USB powered one.
All right.
So instead of like throwing AA batteries in there.
Well, I've had AA batteries in mine for well over a year.
Yeah. I know, but I still prefer USB powered. I can just stick it back in a in a dock.
Yes. Oh, they're dime a dozen. You get them for about $20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had one, and you know, occasionally I'll decide to cut through some plastic card and
you know, all the swarf and stuff,
or resin. Oh, that stuff goes everywhere.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, with resin. What I done for many years and I still do is, I know it's annoying because it's noisy. Is just clamp the hose of the vacuum cleaner on the desk.
Oh yeah.
And just keep the vacuum cleaner on it because my vacuum cleaner I can have like different settings. So I just stick it on the low setting. Yeah. And just as I'm cutting, it's just sucking the.
And or the other way too is just do it wet. Yeah. So when you sand or do it wet sand.
Yeah. But I'm talking about like cutting them off the blocks and so forth.
Yep.
Old school resin.
And I'm going to apply some modelling skills to something other than modelling.
Oh.
So what happened was my mouse broke. The left clicker the actual piece of plastic that sort of touches on the micro switch, it snapped. It snapped in half.
Yeah.
Right?
It's weird.
That's weird, right? It's because I like when I hold my mouse, I'm quite far back.
Yeah.
Further back than I'm supposed to be. I'm not properly palming the whole mouse.
Yep.
And as a result, I've been pressing sort of between the hinging point and where the actual switch is up on the far end.
Yep.
And it's snapped in the middle there. It's snapped in the middle. So now I'm off to get some ABS glue. Tamiya make an ABS plastic glue.
Dude, why don't you just buy a new mouse?
I could do that.
They're like $20.
No. My box. My.
Oh, you have one of those gaming mices.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like to play video games. Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
I mean, and to be honest, my mouse isn't even an expensive one. They get a lot more expensive than what my thing's like an $80 Australian dollars, $80. Just to make it clear, because like $80 in American would be quite an expensive mouse, right?
yes.
Yeah. So it's I don't want to have to buy another one of those because I could buy a kit for that, and all I need to do is go and buy a bit of glue.
Hey. And
We'll
hope,
see how it
it
goes.
holds.
Yeah. And if it doesn't hold, then all I'm out is some glue. And to
Yeah.
be honest, I should be gluing like ABS plastic things together more often. Like
Yes.
ABS plastic is like everything,
Yeah.
and that stuff breaks all the time.
Would it be not a silly idea is to get like some on either? Because I presume it's just like a straight flat bit, is it?
It's actually, I thought it would be a lot thinner because it's designed to flex, right? With you pressing the button.
Oh, so it's like curved or something.
Yeah, it's like an arc.
Yeah,
it's a mouse, so it's
right,
like
yeah.
it's a rounded
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, otherwise
But-
I was thinking if it was like a solid bit, you could just get a couple of bits of styrene on either side and just
Yeah,
strengthen it.
Well,
a bit.
I thought to put a piece of styrene on the underside of it,
Yeah.
but then I thought there's maybe not enough space, and by the time I do that, I won't be able to click it in the same spot anymore. So I'm not going to do that. And in any case, it's quite thick. I was surprised. Like it's like 2 mil thick.
That is very thick.
Yeah, and yet it somehow flexes. I don't get it, but I'll give a go at gluing this, and hopefully ABS glue works in a similar fashion to Tamiya Extra Thin, because it certainly comes in the same container.
Yes.
well, while we're off the topic of models, let's have a quick chat about what we've been watching. So, hands up, who's been watching Masters of the Air?
Me.
I don't watch this stuff.
That's not bad.
I don't watch anything anymore.
Episode 3.
I watch YouTube.
Episode 3. Yeah, the Ravensburg raid. We won't say too much because
No.
there's people who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good episode. I quite enjoyed it. Visual effects are quite good.
Yeah. And I did a post on our general Facebook page on your bench, and people were sort of writing in about it, about what they thought about it. By and large, it's been well received. Unlike Band of Brothers and the Pacific, they didn't really go into the background of the guys. They sort of jumped straight into the story, so you didn't know the background. You couldn't sort of get to know the characters too well. But having watched episode 3 now, and
You see why, because
you see
we
why,
won't say
because
it, but don't
you're
give the
exactly
plot away,
right.
yeah.
And
You guys are terrible at keeping spoilers out of things.
well,
you guys suck.
but from a filmmaking point of view, I kind of get it now, because it's like what it was like in real life. You didn't get the opportunity to get attached to these dudes because they were,
You're really terrible.
Well, geez, newsflash, people
just
die.
give them just read the Wikipedia page at this point, right? Just read the whole script out.
But the only complaint I have is that when the bombers are coming into land or take off, sometimes the CGI isn't quite there. The aero mechanics isn't quite there. They seem to sort of just jump into the sky, or just there's some scenes where it just doesn't feel right, the aircraft landing or taking off.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the. When it comes to animating, planes.
Oh, but
It's mostly just like putting the model of the plane on track.
Yeah,
like,
but
like
I
a
mean-
rail that runs through the sky,
Yeah.
and then
yeah,
it's very hard to animate that effect when
I disagree in this
takeoff.
day and age. You look at all the video game techs where they got the aero mechanics. What's it called? Digital flight, whatever. I don't know, but there's. I don't see
Yeah, the
how
flight sims. Yeah.
I don't see how you can not get it right.
But
in this day
that's
and
a
age.
completely different. the thing.
Yes, but what you can do is, well, okay, here's the thing. Go to a local airport and actually videotape an aircraft taking off. That will give you the idea of how you need to transpose it to. I mean, they did it with Gollum, for goodness sake, out of Lord of the Rings. They had a guy with dots all over him so they could get the movement right.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd be able to do it
That's
with
because
the aircraft.
everyone sees like how people move, but nobody sees how planes move except for people like us.
True. Good show. Go and get it. Ian, you had another show you said was popping up.
Well, yeah, I saw this on YouTube it was yesterday, last night. New movie coming out called the Shamrock Spitfire.
To be sure.
About Paddy Finishay.
Yep.
All about how a young Irish lad whose family was pretty anti-British by the looks of it, joined the RAF, went through all the trials and tribulations and ended up being the leader of the Australian squadron.
Do you remember which Aussie squadron you...
it's the 456 or 457.
One of our bomber ones.
No.
No?
Spitfire squadron.
Spitfire squadron. Okay.
Yeah. And looks like they got the aircraft pretty smack on. They definitely got E's for the 109s, which is good for that early era.
What are they streaming it on? Do you know which
no
provider?
Don't know yet.
Okay.
Might even be a movie.
Yes.
But I just saw it pop up on YouTube the other day.
Very cool.
I thought, pretty cool.
Excellent. All right. Well, how about we have a break and we'll have a word from our wonderful sponsor, Scott Taylor, and we'll be back with some listener mail, I think. Back very shortly.
Hi, I'm Scott, the creator and owner of the Scale Modeler Supply, Australia's largest manufacturer of hobby paints. Our premium airbrush-ready acrylic lacquer paints are designed specifically for use on plastics, with a comprehensive range covering all popular modelling subjects including military, aircraft, rail, auto, sci-fi and more. And not only that, but we also have a wide selection of essential hobby tools and now, Infinite Colour, our new range of water-based paints for miniatures. So to check out our range and to find your closest retailer, please visit our website at scalemodeler.com.au. So when quality matters, choose SMS Paints.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Let's have a look at the mailbag, which is we've had quite a bit come in. The first one, well, this is for you, Julian. Mushara Cup 5 with Heritage Con 16. Duncan Young has just written in saying that it is coming up soon, Julian. How are you going with your Mushara Cup?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, well, I'm a lot louder at this time around. Did you bump up my levels or something?
Well, I did just a little bit. So sorry about that. I was mucking around with the wrong levels.
There you go.
Okay.
All fixed.
Yeah. So I'm coming a lot. I've been working on getting my desk in order, which has been killing my motivation. But yeah, I'm working on the actual sort of what do you call it? The scratch build part of the build, where I have to build the camper part of the truck.
Yep.
And I've got the sides and at least one of the front rear pieces done, and then I've got the corner pieces all cut up, and I just need to sort of make sure that they're all square and the appropriate size, and just make sure they're all cleaned up, and then I'll glue them all together and figure out the roof line, and then it's a downhill from there.
Cool.
I'll just need to spray it, and that'll be it. Because apart from the cab and that rear section, the rest of it's just mostly black.
Oh, right, yep.
You know, it's just like a truck, right? So it's all just frame and all the running gear and
yes.
Well, as Duncan says here, you've got until the March the 9th to submit the digital photos.
Yeah, got a little over a month.
And just as a reminder, let's not forget that Heritage Con 16 is scheduled for Sunday, March 24th at the Canadian Warbird Museum in Hamilton, Ontario.
I'm just reading the email. It says, we're looking forward to what Julian has planned for this year's entry. Look, I would suggest you temper your expectations, all right?
Heritage Con have shifted back to an online registration for model entry this year, so entries must be registered by Tuesday, March the 19th. Any walk-ins on the day of the show will be display only, and they're going to be announcing this year's lineup of special guests in the very near future. Vendor tables are all sold out, so there's no more left, and more than 2/3 of the category and special awards have sponsor commitments in place already. So if you want to find out more, just go to IPMS Hamilton online, and you'll be able to have a look at all the information, also including the online registration portal. So it's a fantastic show. A lot of our fellow podcasts are heading up there, which should be really cool. I've been to the museum when I was there about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's a great place to go. So get up there and go and enjoy yourselves.
Yes.
And we wish them all the best for the show. Gary, next one. Gary Denham wrote in. Get Julian's dad on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. Top class banter in the last podcast. Oh, and I have no problem with if the Possum Wars were a regular segment. Cheers from Edinburgh. Well, I got to say, it looks like I've actually won the Possum War because there's been no sign of further degradation of my plants. So the physical barriers that I set up on the fence seem to be holding at this point. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to wait and see how that.
And my dad will never appear on this podcast.
And that was from who sent that?
Gary from Edinburgh. D Luton wrote in. She said, "Hi guys, after listening to the latest episode and hearing people's comments about the yes and no about the box on wheels, I have to add mine. She was 18 years old, fresh from Kapuka in medical corps training, and she was in Skippy exercise Kangaroo 3 in Shoalwater Bay. And actually, she had to do some work when a US Marine M113 had a rollover. So that was pretty
hairy.
Yeah, extremely very hairy. Also goes on to say, as for Ian's research or search for a New Zealand subject for Qatari's next model, you can't go past a Bob Semple tank. Yeah. Although
I've got one.
One's already been built
yes,
by
Vargas Models. Which I have one of.
Yeah, and I've got one too, as a matter of fact.
That's right, yes. So. It's a nice looking kit, actually.
Absolutely. So thanks for that, D. Cheers for sending that in.
Yeah, great photos too.
Yes, indeed. Chris Becker writes in, hello there, chaps. Just wanted to say thank you for your continued podcast. I always look forward to them, and especially thank you for the little shout out by Julian in the latest episode with regard to organising your paint in IKEA drawers. The product I used was a variation of the original idea by modelling god Paul Budzik. He used sheet metal bracket, whereas I found an equivalent plastic 40mm angle from Mitre 10 or Bunnings that comes in 3 metre lengths. I detailed this conversion in one of my Hobby Room YouTube videos at Becker's Models.
On YouTube.
YouTube, so go over and check that out. On the topic of Qatari Spitfire and a new 109K4 release, I think we all have to take a broader macro view of the hobby market when considering what will sell and what is popular, particularly when the majority of plastic model kit sets are actually sold in Asia, not Australia or America. Mm-hmm. While a Mustang, particularly a BC version, would be very popular, it is the German subjects that sell the most throughout Asia. Witness every iteration of a Tiger 1 and Panther tank, let alone 109s. So this second subject by Qatari makes financial sense. Further variants like the F&G can also be realised without too much tooling difficulty, and I would suspect the new version will occur at some gap in time between the Mark 1 Spitfire and the Mark 5 Sea-Wing Spitfire major variants, which require some major retooling for different wing fuselage structures. Correct. Given that the majority of extant 109 kits in 32nd have a plethora of either fit, accuracy or engineering troubles, take your poison of Trumpeter, Edward and Hasegawa. This makes complete sense for Qatari and will cater for a wider audience. I disagree, however, that Qatari will not revisit World War I models, given the major gap in wing-nut-wing lineup. There were no Spads, Newports and Breguet 14s. Literally the most produced and used fighters of the Great War. There are no modern toolings of these, and they would sell like hotcakes. And the differing philosophy of Qatari to produce subjects that have been covered by others will win out there in the long run, in my opinion. On a related, much higher note, I will be developing in-flight conversions for the Qatari Spitfires later this year as I wrestle with learning 3D CAD and printing, as I want to create plug-and-play solutions for those of us who don't like wheels-down cars, aircraft. This will include properly engineered wheels up doors and a plug-in electric motor to spin the prop, a dynamic flight stand, and possibly better engineered seated pilot. The Qatari Spitfire lends itself to such a conversion, and I hope to do many more. Thanks again, and speak to you all soon. Chris Becker.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes, if you aren't aware, Chris Becker is a devoted acolyte at the Church of In-Flight Model.
Yes.
So it's good to see that he is fervently pursuing his passion
and offering the opportunity to other models.
It's quite one thing to advocate for something, but it's another to actually go ahead and actually do it yourself.
Take the next step. Yeah, and kudos. That's great.
Next one comes from Eric Kinser, who writes, Dear OTB, great show as always. In this case, episode 179, goodbye 2023. I agree with Dave. Bases can put a model in context, and Ian, bases can take up too much space and interfere with overhead cabinet lighting.
Yes.
Since I'm a slow builder, my way out this conundrum is to only build aircraft where you can tell a compelling story. By way of example, I offer the, ancient, monogram Wright Flyer in 139 scale.
God, that is ancient.
I was inspired to build this after visiting Kitty Hawk and then seeing another replica at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. There is no point in doing this model unless you're going to show it taking flight, as that is the story. By way of example, you could do the Spirit of St. Louis landed in France with throngs of greeters, or, for something from World War II, a carrier plane skidded in an abrupt halt in the arrestor net. Of course, this probably triples the amount of work to get the project finished and would get in the way of building lots of kits. Ultimately, it's all personal preference. What is your goal? Build lots of kits, build fewer kits while focusing one's time on the model, i.e. detailing, painting and weathering, or build even fewer kits but displayed to tell a captivating story. Obviously, you can bounce around, but for me, just doing tarmac plus aircraft adds only minimal interests. And that's from Eric, and he's also done a picture of his Kitty Hawk aircraft.
In flight. That's really cool, that, yeah.
I have to agree. I have to agree with that. Like, you couldn't,
really cool.
With the Wright Flyer, that's all about the flight.
Yep. That's a really cool. Yeah, put that on our on your bench Facebook page.
Eric, just post that picture.
That's a great picture.
Yep. Brian McGuinness writes in, hey guys, I have a good friend getting into models and he's just built the old monogram Revell 148 scale Spitfire. He wants to build a Tiger 1 now and was asking me about a kit to get. I figured I'd tell him Tamiya since I know they make solid kits, but I did not know if there are any ones you guys would recommend. Thanks a ton.
Well, it's not so much ones we would recommend as that there are some that you wouldn't recommend, because overall Tamiya's 48 scale kits are pretty bulletproof. There are only a couple that are kind of...
Yeah, but does he want to build in 48 or 35th?
Your 32nd. Oh, sorry. Wait.
48
Tigers.
Oh, 30,
sorry. Yeah. I forgot it was a Tiger that he was asking about. I was thinking monogram Revell Spitfire. I'm like 48 scale. Oh, he's going to build another aircraft. No. He's building a Tiger. Tiger tank.
Tiger.
I mean, it'd be, to me, as Tiger's easy, I guess. Maybe a bit old. I think that's a bit of like what kind of
nearly every brand does a Tiger.
Well, yeah. So it depends. Like the thing that a lot of people do with the Tiger kit, I believe, is that they'll pin the tracks. So because there's the track sag or something like that, isn't it?
It's so freaking heavy.
Yeah.
Well, and they use rubber band tracks, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, like, it comes down to like, he's only built one kit, right? So if he was going to build another, then
I would go Tamiya.
Yeah. Just go Tamiya to be safe.
Easier to build.
Yeah.
less parts count.
You would not want to go anything that's like multi-link.
Yeah, so like some of these Tiga kits, you got, 500-600 pieces. And for a beginner, that'd be just a little bit too much, in my opinion.
That's a step you're sort of supposed to take by, when you feel up to it and you're like, oh, you know what, I really can't deal with the lack of realism with these rubber band tracks, so I'll step up to the individual link ones. But yeah, that's not second model material.
What was it? I was watching last night. Our good friend Clayton Ockerby, he's just dropped a new YouTube video on doing the old ancient Tamiya. Is it the M1 half track, American half track, the one with the quad 50 cal on the back?
Okay, yep.
And that comes with rubber band tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up with the really great suggestion is make sure you solidly glue with super glue the joining section, the rubber tracks,
right,
and then that stops it from having any flex. Because a lot of people like wrap them around, but they put the road wheels on, wrap them around, and then glue the track to it. He says glue the tracks together first, and that way you have to, because they're rubber, they got a bit of play. Yeah. And you can put them over the top, and he says it makes them a lot tighter.
Oh, yeah.
And then basically it's just a dab of super glue on top of the returning rollers on the top. And just have it pressed down and works.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Brian, I hope that helps you and
not confuse you too much.
Yeah. So the conclusion was go
Tamiya.
Go Tamiya.
Yeah, exactly.
Safe bet.
Jonathan Byron writes in, good afternoon, benchers. Thanks, as always, for a great podcast, and in particular for dropping the podcast roundtable discussion a day early for our listening pleasure.
Whoops. Whoops. Someone didn't get their time zones right.
Your last episode was great as all. Just to go back, so we all the podcasts got together and we did a...
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, we couldn't have everybody on because...
Is that why you didn't tell us about it?
Well, if you've got 8 podcasts and you get everybody, you would have had like 30 people trying to talk at once. So
great.
We made the decision. But you guys are getting your own gig soon with Micro Machine Podcasts?
Yes.
Aren't
yes.
you?
I'm
probably
heading on there in the next week or so.
Yeah, there you go.
Having a chat with the lads.
That should be cool. So
it should be good.
I mean, I've never been on someone else's podcast.
No, I mean, that's going to be great.
Oh.
I'll try not to embarrass the brand.
I mean, like, I was supposed to, I was talking to Brian about appearing on Built Sideways like half a year ago.
Yeah, Brian, what's happening there, mate?
Well, they've got like, everything planned out in advance, and they didn't do it. I don't think they do as many episodes as us, do they?
They do, but their episodes are like planned out, and like they record like this week, but it won't drop because it's like 2 episodes ahead or something. So it's really weird.
Well, in any case, like it just sort of hasn't come together, and I'm sure he'll sort it out when he can sort it out.
Time is right. Yeah.
Let me know, and but I mean, that's the only thing that's sort of in that as far as me appearing in other places.
Let's get back to what Jonathan has to say.
Yes.
Or Jonathan has to say. Yes.
Sure, Jonathan.
Your last episode always was great. I feel a need to write in defence of paint racks, specifically wall-mounted paint racks. The negativity expressed towards these automated items are well articulated and valid. However, for some of us, the upsides of hanging paint bottles on the wall might include 1, limited space. I'm in the UK, and I live in a relatively small house with my family. I'm lucky enough to have a small dedicated modelling room, but I've run out of floor space and my drawers are full. Putting paint racks on the wall uses dead space with no floor footprint. Item 2, limited memory. I forget what paints I have. Hanging them on the wall is an easy way of keeping track of them, plus it reminds me of colours I could use that never appear in instructions, such as browns and tans for weathering, etc. Item number 3, limited reach. The paints are all within arm's reach without having to open anything or search through anything. I like this. They are dust magnets, though. Anyway, the defence rests. Changed my mind, although I hope you don't, because I'll just have to take all the racks down and deal with all the holes in the wall. Cheers from John Byron.
Brian,
Bryon.
Yes,
Brian.
not Byron.
Oh, sorry, John.
I see the Y and I just think Byron.
So do I.
Yeah, yes.
Maybe it's because of Byron Bay.
Byron Bay. Anyway, that's from John in Croydon, UK.
Yes, thanks, John. That's Yeah, look, I agree with you.
So
When you got limited space, you got to use up the dead space and hanging your.
speaking
paints
of
on-
which,
Julian's found something.
Yeah, one of our on your bench when everyone was posting their battle stations thing, their workbenches,
Yes.
right? There was what was it? Is it? It's which one of these was it? It's
Julian's having a
it
look.
was
I
the
don't
the the very basically what it was like a series of paint racks that were put on the back of the door to the room.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah. I thought it was a novel way of using dead space.
Yeah. I mean,
Except if you
Just make sure you don't get someone upset and they slam the door and your paints go everywhere.
or open it too hard.
Yes.
oh, here it is.
Yeah.
It's from David Lockhart. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he had there's like a whole bunch of like some I guess you could call them MIG ammo
Yep.
racks.
Yep.
And he's got them attached to the back of his door. And it's not just like Vallejo style bottles. It's also because it's the whole ammo range.
Sure.
It's also got all the weathering. There's the very distinctive ammo weathering.
Yep.
Bottles.
Bottles. Yeah.
Yep. Very interesting.
Very cool.
Not the place that I would have thought to put something.
I
No.
would never thought of putting anything on the
No.
back of a door. Lee writes in, Dear Dave, first just to comment on how interesting it was to hear all my favourite pods together talking about what everyone's doing. As I have the spare time in the evenings these days, I listen to all the main podcasts and would be hard-pressed to say which ones I like the best because each one has its own character and flavour, which is, I think, due to the many chemistries between the speakers on each one. I must admit, however, that I always look forward especially to the next On the Bench because it is uniquely Australian in the way that you, Ian and Julian, talk and relate to each other. The main thing I want to thank you is for mentioning the Models of Ballarat display, which is coming this April.
Yes.
I've attached our flyer for your information. It is a display rather than a competition because our focus is out to the general community rather than inwards to the scale modelling community. I feel our display days are most successful when families come in and look around for a while because that is exposing them to our hobby. Of course, we also enjoy having modelers from out of town because we then get to spend a day chatting to them about our hobby. Most of us sit behind our tables with our models on them so we can talk to people about them in the Telford style, I guess you'd call that. And I try to have a kit in front of me to work on to show where the models come from. But most years I'm too busy yakking to get too much work done.
Yes.
We'd really enjoy having you drop in and visit us if you have the opportunity. Most people from Melbourne also go off and look at other attractions such as the Tram Museum or the Aviation Museum to fill out their day.
Or you got Sovereign
Excuse
Hill.
me. I didn't realise there's an aviation museum in Ballarat.
No, neither did I.
Oh.
I do remember when I was a kid going to a few air shows in Ballarat when I was a very young kid.
I really like the point about the inward-outward thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep, that was a really cool point.
It was. And so just a reminder, so Scale Model Exhibition Display Day, including a swap and sell, is Sunday, the 21st of April, 2024. It's at the Eastwood Leisure Centre, 20 Eastwood Street, Ballarat. Admission, adults $5, children $2, family $10.
And family is what, two parents or carers and,
Yep.
And children? Yep.
And all profits go to Make-A-Wish Foundation Australia.
Fantastic.
So we're definitely going to...
Yes, I'm really hoping to get there.
at the very least, you and I are going to go up, aren't
Yeah.
we? You coming, Julian, for the ride?
Should be all right.
When's this April? I don't
Okay.
even know what I'll be doing around that time of year. I don't even know.
I'm pretty keen.
I,
I'm pretty keen on it.
I can barely function, like thinking like what I'm going to do on the weekend. Right?
All right. Thank you very much to Raf Morrissey, who, if you remember last episode, I
Yes.
was asking for SR
71 NASA decals.
in
Yep.
72nd scale, and Raf reached out to me that he heard that I was looking for them, and he's going through model items from a good friend of his, Dave Powell from Maryland, and he found the exact sheet I'm looking for.
Score.
Dave Powell was an excellent modeler and very wonderfully generous man, and his family's asked that he that Raph find a good home for all his hobby items. So he thought I could make use of it, and
That's very generous.
I certainly have, and I certainly will. And I just really appreciate you reaching out and thinking of me when you had a look at that. So cheers. And there's a little something in the mail for you too on the way to you, mate. Dave Haddican writes in, Dear Dave and the rest of the On the Bench team.
That's us.
First of all, just wanted to say how fabulous the shows continue to be, and to send my thanks to all of you for the continued time and effort you expend on recording and producing them for us, the listener. A sentiment that can be extended to all the podcasts, particularly having learned how long some of those shows take in post-production. Now, with all the pleasantries done, I'm into the serious stuff. In a recent episode, you mentioned that one of the things you wanted to improve on during 2024 was the addition of a base to enhance the appearance and display of your models. I too have recently come to the same realisation, and armed with your encouragement, I set off to the local hardware store and brought myself back an array of goods, including plaster of Paris, a small wallpaper scraper, some fine grit sandpaper, masking tape, etc., etc. I then seemingly vanished into the model cave for a few days, finally emerging looking something like the chef from the Muppet Show, covered in white powdery substance. That was, in my case, plaster and not flour.
As opposed to, emerging like Carlito's Way or something.
Over the next week or so, I slowly added to the creation and have been pretty pleased with the end result. I suppose the reason for the email is to say thank you for the continued encouragement and inspiration that you and the team offer us modelers. It isn't the first time either, as you were also the inspiration for me to attend my first model show, which was Scale ACT 2022, and enter my first model in the competition. Anyway, I hope you like the base. Part of it was down to yourself. It represents Kandahar Airfield from when I was deployed there. Regards, Dave Haddigan. And he's got a fantastic
That looks nice.
representation of a drone sitting on concrete.
Yeah, on a concrete tarmac. That's
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah, post them, mate. Post them on our Facebook page.
Yes.
On your bench.
On your bench, absolutely. 'Cause that looks
Everyone would
absolutely
love
awesome.
to see that.
Damn, he did that out of plaster?
Yeah, that's really it's a really nice base.
Very nice base.
I like it.
I do too. All right. Craig Everson writes in, hello, Dave, Ian and Julian. Hope you guys are well and are keeping busy at the bench. I just wanted to say a couple of things about the last episode and the bonus one that came out. Firstly, I love the chat about the Qatari 109, and I think that even though there have been a few kits of the K4 released over the years, I'm pretty sure they will not hold up against the Qatari one for quality and detail. And I agree with both Ian and Julian that the next kit could either be a P51 or a P40, with the latter being my preference.
Me too.
But they may go left field with something completely different, like an A4. Secondly, I'd like to touch on the bonus episode with the roundtable of most of the podcasts. I have to say it's great to hear about how the podcast got started. Listening to everybody's stories was a great insight to people that make these great podcasts. I have to say that for me personally, I don't listen to every single one, but the ones I like, I do. They have helped me on my modelling journey since coming back to the hobby 3.5 years ago. I have been inspired to expand my knowledge and would not have met some people that I now class as a friend, like you three, even though I haven't officially met Julian yet. Ray Davis, Nick from the Skull, Armour, James from Replicate Models, Gav Cross, and Simon from Simon's Scale Modelling. I had the privilege last year to spend the day with you, Dave, D-Ran from the Geeks, and Ray checking out the Fleet Aero Museum and Haas, which was a blast and inspired me even more. I said to a friend that I wanted to start a podcast myself, and that is still the plan with another one of my friends. He knows who he is. But unfortunately, after getting a lot of planning done, I now find myself being unable to start due to a lot of self-doubt, anxiety, and fear of failure. I am sure it'll pass, but it's really hit me hard at the moment. So in finishing, I just wanted to say thank you to all the podcasts for doing what you do. You all help in more ways than you know, and you all keep us informed, entertained, and up to date with this hobby we all love, and most of you all make us, the listeners, feel like we're all family. Kind regards, It's from Craig Everson, otherwise known, aka Aussie Scale Models.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
100%.
Do it.
I mean, I get the fear of failure, but
Like you.
what if you do it and it's a success?
That's
Well,
right. We had no
look-
idea we'd be still going in 8 years'
Well,
time.
the idea is you don't do it for success.
No,
you just
you
do it
don't.
because you want to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, and you,
And you just
Don't-
try not to listen to yourself because you always sound weird.
and
in the
you
recording.
might have some misgivings about, maybe it's not going to meet your expectations. It's not going to be as good as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It probably isn't, but that doesn't matter. You should just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our first episodes we hate them.
Oh, yeah.
We hate 'em.
You don't listen to the first 10 episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, they existed.
They're not so good.
They were arguably some of the most.
Well, no one
important
had done
ones.
it before, and we were just all
Exactly
experimenting, see what
Yeah.
worked, and then
Yeah,
we found our groove. And
You're not
we
going to
stuck with
be.
it.
No one starts off doing things at a high level. You got to
No.
start somewhere.
That's right. That's right. So yeah,
All right, guys. Well, thanks for writing in. Of course, if you want to write in, you can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. We love hearing what you've got to say and with you sharing all your thoughts as well. All right, let's have a quick break and we'll be back with the Falcon.
Hi everyone, it's Chris here at Inside the Armour Publications, and I'm afraid I'm here with some bad news. Inside the Armour Publications is closing. Trading conditions, in particular Brexit, have made it almost impossible for me to continue publishing books. Therefore, all future books are now cancelled, and all current books are available heavily discounted at InsideTheArmour.com. These discounts were already applied, but on top of that there's an end of ITA further discount of 50% on the price shown on the website. So head on over to InsideTheArmour.com and enter the code end of ITA, that's ENDOFITA at checkout to get huge discounts on all our books while stocks last. Thanks everyone that supported ITA over the years. It's been a wild ride, but don't worry, a new version of ITA is coming soon. Until then, thanks for buying the books. I really do appreciate everyone's support.
All right, let's have a look at what the Falcon has to say in regards to new kits. So Falcon writes in, hello everybody. Aircraft news first up. Meng will introduce a new boxing of their 48 scale F-35 Lightning II, the F-35I Adir. The I stands for Israel, and there'll be markings for 2 IAF machines. We had a bit of a preview of what ICM had in store for 2024. Late last year, but they have just released a catalogue for the new year with additional information. The ICM new tool 132nd scale Henschel HS-123A1 German World War II attack aircraft announced last year will be released in the first quarter of 2024. Not strictly aircraft, but aircraft adjacent and new tool, ICM will produce a 48 scale and 35th scale M8A1 US landing mats for Vietnam, a 148 scale World War II German aircraft armament set, and a 48 scale set of Luftwaffe airfield equipment. Well, that'll be well received. And also 48 scale sets of Japanese pilots and ground personnel.
Oh, cool.
You can perhaps use that for your Dave that you're doing.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a seaplane, Dave.
It's a seaplane.
Not a ground plane.
Well, but it says sets of Japanese pilots, so you still need ground personnel.
Are they Navy or are they Army?
I don't know. Anyway. ICM also releasing a few variants on the existing kits. Some of the more interesting ones are 35th scale CH-54A Tahi with Universal Military Pod, a 48 scale Junkers Ju-88P tank buster,
Yeah, it's one with the big cannon underneath it.
and a 72nd scale Focke-Wulf FW-189C 5 or V/6 Grand Attack aircraft. ICM are presently developing kits of a 48 scale Henschel 129B1 and a 35th scale UH-60A Black Hawk and a 72nd scale CH-54A Tahi. All three are planned for release in 2025. Asker Studios are currently working on the design of a 35th scale Boeing B-17G four-border models.
Oh, that's going to be big.
And I'd suggest that with the success of the current series, that's why it's being well-timed for release. IBG Models from Poland will be releasing a 72nd scale IAR 80/81 Romanian World War II fighter kits beginning in spring or autumn of 2024. Unusual subject. Revell have announced a new kit in 72nd scale, a Mitsubishi Ki-21 1A Sally. I think most people assumed it would be a rebox of the terrific ICM kit. Only problem is the number of parts doesn't match up, so that is out. It can't be the MPM kit, as that is a Ki-21-2, nor can it be the ancient Revell Takara kit, as that is also a Ki-21-2, and according to legend, the moulds have been lost at sea. Seems there are three possibilities. 1, Revell have tooled their own brand new kits. 2, Special Hobby were working on a 72 Sally and Revell will be releasing that in the Revell box. Or 3, the number of parts published was wrong and it is an ICM kit. I'm going with option 3, says
The Falcon.
Special Hobby were at the recent Nuremberg Hobby Show and had sprues for their 48 scale Martin A30 Baltimore on display. No idea when it will be completed, but this is proof of some progress. However, there is still plenty of waiting to do. There are still parts that haven't been tooled yet. There will be a new boxing of the 72nd scale Takikawa Ki-54 Hickory, captured and also in post-war service. There are markings for US, French and North Korean examples, which make an interesting aircraft. Valor Models will be releasing a 72nd scale kits of the Avro Anson Mark 19 and the T21. Each of the kits will have markings for 2 RAF machines. Latika Models have shown... I've never heard of the company before.
Latika? No, me neither.
Have shown early CAD renders of the 1/44th scale Tupolev Tu-22M backfire. Special Hobby have shown CAD renders for 3 new 72nd scale kits, a de Havilland DH94 Moth Miner, a Moth Miner Coupe, and a false E5, sorry, I should say. What is that? It's an aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his First World War aircraft.
Ah, okay, that's right. Edward have announced a June 2024 release date for the 72nd scale Albatros D3 German World War I fighter. At Nuremberg, Trumpeter was showing 2 build test shots of the 48 scale Russian attack helicopters, the MIL Mi-24A Hind B and the MIL Mi-35M. Sword Models have shown box art and CAD renders for the 48 scale Fairy Gannet AEW3. CAD looks great, but it appears there won't be an option for folded wings. If you are interested in this unique looking version of the Gannet, don't wait around for Airfix to do it. When asked if they would kit the early airborne warning Gannet, Airfix representatives demurred, claiming it was too different from their AS1/4 and there weren't enough users. There you go. Copper State Models have shown renders of their progress on their 32nd scale Hanrit HD1. It's not finished yet, but it is already looking a winner.
It is, yes.
What is that?
Henriot. It's a First World War French fighter.
Okay. Civil Vehicle News IBG will be releasing later this year 100% new toolkits of the 24th scale Model A Ford Standard Phaeton soft top 1930s American car and a kit of the same car with the roof folded. Tamiya have announced a 1/12th scale limited edition kit of a Honda DAX 125, which is a motorcycle. It is. Moving forward on to ship news. Dragon Models teased us with a bit of CAD first, but have now officially announced they will release a 1/350 scale British battleship HMS Nelson.
Woohoo!
Moving on to military vehicles. Last time I talked about a rumour that Tamiya would be releasing something big in their 35 range. I hope these announcements aren't it. We're starting off with a 35th scale KS 600 motorcycle and sidecar, which is a 100% new tool. A 135th scale Leopard 2A7V, and a 35th scale German machine gunner team mid-World War II, which is also 100% new tool. Magic Factory will release a 35th scale kit of the M10 Booker combat vehicle. The Booker is a result of the Mobile Protected Firepower program. And just as a side note, I've been following it quite closely, and it's, I guess, it's sort of almost a replacement for the old Sheridan. Is one way of looking at it. Obviously, with a lot more firepower and up armoured and a heck of a lot more. So, interesting concepts that the Americans are doing there. New tool kits from ICM. There's all of these are in 35th scale. So there's a German World War II field Kusch kitchen, which is a field kitchen. A Flak 38 World War II German anti-aircraft gun. Burma Jeep Mark 1. Model 1 in two versions, one with a top-down, low-side bed, top-up, high-side bed. Excuse me. A Humvee M1097A2, an M1097A2 cargo carrier, and a US field stove M1937 with cooks. And some of the more significant variations in the existing kits, there's the Bergpanzer with a Panzer IV turret, US Army World War II kitchen truck, Studebaker US 6-U5 World War II gasoline truck, Sir Bernard Montgomery's Leyland Retriever, otherwise known as Monty's Caravan, and World War II British Army Mobile Chapel. It comes with I don't even know what it is. Harmonium, Alta, and Alta supplies. All in 35th scale.
Alta and Alta supplies.
Someone to make a good diorama out of that.
Propane and propane accessories.
At Nuremberg, Special Hobby exhibited prototypes of a couple of military items that they're working on. A 48 scale Hummer LRC Mark II light reconnaissance car, and a 72nd scale 60 centimetre Schweinwerfer Flak 36. Along with trailer, and the latter will be offered as a 3D print model. Dynamo Models will be releasing their first injected plastic kit. It is a 35th scale M55 quad mount 50 cal machine guns as a 2-in-1 kit. It can be built either as a World War II or the Vietnam War version. As well as the plastic, 3D printed parts will also be supplied. Amusing Hobbies are to release a 35th scale kit of the T-90 AK with PTK Russian Commander's tank. You might remember the War Slugs.
Oh, vaguely.
They released a 35th scale kit of the Rolls-Royce armoured car a couple of years ago. I thought they might have been a one-and-done kind of company, but it's pleasing to see that they are back in the game with an all-new 35th scale GMC DUKW 353 amphibious transport vehicle.
Oh, very cool.
Renders show a full engine is provided, and this will be the first 35th scale DUKW that doesn't have drainage slots in the side rubbing strips, which is a post-World War II feature. If they can do a good job on this one, they should do very well for them. Mini Art were also at Nuremberg, and while they didn't make any announcements, they did have a built-up kit of their new 35th scale M3 Stuart. Suffice to say, it looked fantastic. Of note is that kit will have Lincoln length tracks. I think that is the first for Mini Art. There'll be 4 marking options for the kit, 3 based in the US and 1 doing trials with the British Army in Egypt. Das Work have shown CAD box art and marking options for their 16th scale SD KFZ 234/2 Puma, which is a 2-in-1 kit. You'll have the option of building a regular or a command version. There are 4 marking options provided with different camo schemes for each. You also get a bonus crew figure and a rather insolent looking chap relaxing with a cigarette. Makes a bit of a change from the usual pointing and shouting German officers who we are used to seeing.
I thought the command version had like a super huge antenna on it.
Not sure.
Dashwork also announced a 1/16 scale SD KFZ 251/22 pack wagon.
Oh, the coolest one of the lot.
Another company dipping their toe into the 1/16th scale pool is Gecko Models. They have just shown box art for their 1/16 scale British Universal Carrier Mark 1, and they are also working on the 16th.
It's a Universal Carrier Mark 2.
I beg your pardon. And they are also working on the 16th scale German 7.5 centimeter Pack 40 anti-tank gun, early production, and that's all there is from the Falcon. And what a perfect way to lead us into our conversation we're about to have with Andy in regards to 1/16 scale.
Oh, definitely.
So let's get right into it and listen to see what Andy has to say. And that gives me great pleasure to introduce Andy from Andy's Hobby Headquarters. Andy is well known in the modelling world for bringing to us all of the wonderful 1/16 scale, and you could even say that he's been instrumental in leading the charge in 1/16 scale Armour kits in recent years, and we're very blessed to have him on the show. G'day, Andy. How are you?
Real good. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, really good.
You're good.
How's things over in Arizona?
It is about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a nice day. It was a little rainy yesterday, but we've been really very happy with our weather lately. So very nice.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Let's, for listeners who perhaps don't know who you are, who is Andy from Andy's Hobby HQ?
Well, I've been in the hobby industry for a long time. I started my first hobby store in San Diego, where I was originally from, back in 95, I believe it was, 95, and ran that store all the way up to 2003. And cost of living was so crazy in California. I had a young family at the time. We decided to move over to Arizona. And about a year later, we opened up the store the store has grown a lot since then, and it's 20 years. Actually, next month we celebrate 20 years. So
wow.
Congrats.
of this location. So we're very happy with that, and expanded just before COVID, which was a scary proposition.
Oh, yeah.
Done all that, and then a month later we're closing down. So, but it all worked out positive. We're very, very, very happy with it.
Well, it's interesting because, we hear so often on this side of the world that the traditional bricks and mortar stores in the US are sort of fading, but you seem to be going against that stream. You, for some reason, of going from strength to strength. So what's the secret to your success, and perhaps why aren't we seeing as many bricks and mortar hobby stores in the US as we did in the past?
I've thought a lot about that, and I look, and I guess a lot of the stores never really concentrated, at least around a lot of times that I saw them, on models only. They would be, the term a jack of all trades, a master of none. And, you'd have RC and trains and hobbies were kind of always like a sideline. They'd call themselves a hobby store, but we decided we were going to just strictly go plastic models. The paints, I've got tons of brands of paints, and it's everything that a modeler wants in there. And I do have a really large online store too here in the United States and in Europe, but I think it adds extra to it because people still like to come in and you like to grab that kit and hold it in your hand. And it's, if you have the benefit of a hobby store in your town, it is a wonderful thing. So, and online doesn't always lend itself to finding out about new stuff. I mean, if you look at the screen, you see what's on the screen right there. But I've got like racks that show, hey, this is what's new in Armour. This is what's new in cars. This is what's new in airplanes. And you walk in, and you get excited about it because it's like, wow, I didn't know this was coming out, or I've wanted this stuff. I didn't know. Here it is. I got to grab it now. So there's a lot of impulse to that.
Sure. Well, we're very blessed here in Melbourne because we've got 17 brick and mortar stores within Metro Melbourne. A lot of them are just your jack of all trades, but there are some that are dedicated modelling stores. And in fact, we just had a new one open up, I want to say about probably 12 months ago now, that is purely dedicated just to Gundam, for example. And, they're going from strength to strength. So, we're extremely lucky, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, what is it? Less than a 5-minute drive for me. Which can be dangerous in the hip pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to the point where it's like, if this store doesn't have the brand of paint that you want, you can just go to the next one.
Yeah.
which is
15
that's a
minute
luxury,
drive.
really.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky.
So yeah, with the size of Phoenix is the 5th biggest metropolitan area in the United States. So we've got like 5 million people here in the general area. So it's done really well. And I'm not gonna deny YouTube has helped me out tremendously.
Well, that's actually comparable to Melbourne. Melbourne's around 5-6 million people as well. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you did mention YouTube, so why not plug that while we're here? And what do you do on your YouTube channel?
Well, that's it. YouTube has been extremely good for me. It brings people from all over the world who've learned about me, because I wanted to make YouTube to start off in the beginning. I had customers who would come in my store and go, "Hey, how do you do this?" And I would say, "Well, it's kind of hard to set up. I don't have my airbrush set up. I don't have this set up, but I can kind of tell you, but it's not the same thing." And I guess it's about almost 9 years ago now, I made a first YouTube video. That wasn't even a video. It was stills on how to paint Tyco wheels, because someone had asked me about that. And I watched it for a few days, nothing major. It was a while ago, and it was stills. And then I remember I forgot about it for a while, and I came back about a month later, and I had 10 subscribers and 1,000 views on it. And I went, whoa, this is good. And that was on my personal name channel. It wasn't under Hobby Headquarters. I just put it up. So I canceled that one out, and I opened up a brand new Andy's Hobby Headquarters one. And I just said, I'm going to commit myself to making a lot of build videos. I know people complain now I don't do as many build videos, but I'm not because I'm just sitting around doing nothing. I've got a few other things happening. But yeah, in the beginning, I just said, I'm going to commit to that. And it was the golden age of YouTube, when there wasn't a lot of YouTubers on there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of just spiraled and blew up. And then manufacturers go, "Hey, you want to?" To me, it was always been very, very good to me. And to me, it would go, "Hey, we got the new kit. Do you want to see it and build it?" Absolutely. Send it right over. So it's worked out very good.
Sure.
And getting people from around the world to know about my store. In the beginning, it was funny. A police officer. I'm in the city of Glendale for my hobby store, and a police officer came in here and goes, "Oh, I watched your YouTube videos. I didn't know you were here."
Oh, well.
For the longest time, until he saw the videos and he read the address. And he goes, "Oh my God, I live right down the street from that." So, because you know how, if you're driving through the city, if you're not purposely looking, we're hardcore modelers, I seem like all of us, so we're looking for stores. But the casual modeler isn't always, they got the blinders on looking forward.
Yeah.
And you don't always notice the hobby stores. So it's been wonderful. In fact, I get lots of Australians that come down here.
Wow.
Yes, I've heard, yes.
Especially this time of year, we'll get a lot of it. Now, Luke Air Force Base is not too far away, so a lot of the military guys come in here from that. But yes, quite a lot more Australians come in here than I ever thought would, being we're so far away from each other.
Well, Phoenix is a major hub for the airlines. So, yeah. And in fact, we actually stopped off at Phoenix.
Yes,
we did.
Yes. And I can one thing I can say, damn, it was hot.
Yes.
That was when we went to Omaha a couple of years ago for the Nationals.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was. But I've got a burning question for you, Andy. For me, owning a hobby shop is like a fat man running a hamburger store. How do you do it without sort of rummaging through and going, "Oh, I'll take that for my stash. I'll take that for my stash"?
Honestly, it's turned into a type of thing. I had a mindset very early on doing YouTube. I would not start anything. I had to really be disciplined. I was not going to start anything until I finished what I was doing, because I always walked in and go, "This is all my stash." I just let people buy my stash from time to time. There are couple of really kits that excited me that I throw in the back room. Especially because I buy a lot of collections in town too. Oh. And I'll get like old kits that I remember as a kid. I have no desire of building them because it's nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
There's a monogram kit of an I just totally forgot the airplane. Yellow wings, pre-war, and the guy on the wing was holding in a special way. And I remember I was like 4 or 5 years old getting that kit. And two of them showed up at a collection about a month ago, and I went, "Oh, I haven't seen that kit and they were the original 1974 editions." Oh. So I grabbed both of them and threw them in the back room, and I said, I show my kids I go, "Look at these," and I go, "Look at what we had to deal with back 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a secret.
Yeah, we remember them days.
Oh, we do
Yep.
indeed. We do indeed.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
just and I don't want to give any sort of dive in for trade secrets or anything, but you mentioned that you have an online presence as well as your shop front there. Is there a rough sort of percentage between people who come in versus what you sell online?
Yeah. My online is a lot bigger than my retail store because we deal with the entire country.
Yeah.
And because I have the advertising presence of YouTube is, I show people, I do a lot of review or preview videos right now to get people excited about it. And it does. You see an instant, pop and people going, wow, that's really cool. And the 5 million that are in Phoenix compared to the 325 million in the whole country,
Yeah.
we now offer, plus Canada, we also ship to Canada too. So we get a lot of that, and it's really, really, really been nice for it.
Cool. Mail, it just costs so much to ship anything to the US or from the US out to Australia. It's a tough gig.
Yes, we know that. So I have my very dear friend owns the company Model Balconig, and he also owns Das Work.
Right.
And he does my European store for me. And yeah, it costs us a fortune to ship to Australia just because the way shipping is. So, and we only ship to here in Canada because it's cost prohibitive to ship anything out of the United States, it seems like now. So
tell us about the 1/16th journey. Where did that germ of an idea come from? And how did you end up pursuing that to get to where you are now with the production of the 1/16th scale kits that you're doing?
Well, actually, it goes back to my friend from Model Balconig. So in the very beginning, I've been friends with him a while. He's in Germany, and he started producing some kits. And I said to him, hey, look, this is even before COVID happened. I said, the only one we have on the market right now for 16 scale is Trumpeter.
Yes.
And they're full interior kits at the time. They're in the United States, most of them went for $400 plus.
Ouch.
So that hurts a lot of guys who are, if you're really into it, great, you'll buy it, but it's not for a mass appeal. So I mentioned to him, I said, hey, you're doing more and more kits. Why don't you do, one of my favorite German vehicle is a Stug 3. I said, why don't you do a Stug 3 in 16, forego the interior. There'll be aftermarket companies make that, but let's make it for the masses. And if you could, I say you should make it for the masses and make it so people can afford it and have a beautiful display piece, because the interiors are great, but after you build one or two of them,
it's like, a bit much.
Yeah. And I had just finished that King Tiger full interior that Tacom produced. And I thought, okay, I was gung-ho going into it, but after it, and it went together real well. It's just, there's 2 times more kit inside the kit than in the outside.
Yes.
So he said, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, and didn't say anything about it. And then about 9 months later, he goes, hey, guess what? And I went, what? And then he shot me the CAD work for it. He goes, I'm doing it. And I was like, oh, this is incredible. So by the time all that had progressed, unfortunately, COVID all started. And then we got done with all that. And he and I are partners with the online stores.
All right.
And obviously, I need help right there. And he is connected to a lot of people. So it worked out really good. And we announced that Stug at IPMS Nationals over here, and it just went absolutely berserk. And he immediately goes, you were right. What to do? Make it, at the time, it came out at $100. So it was affordable. It's a beautiful kit. And look at, now there's a million aftermarket companies making everything you want. For if the few guys who want to do the interior, it's available for them. Right?
Yep.
So after that happened, the success of that, it was not too much longer after that, he goes, you should do a kit. And I was like, yeah, ha, that's funny. And he goes, no, I'm serious. He goes, you know everybody that I know now. And he goes, the people at Tacom are more than willing to work with you. And I said, you really? And I said, I'd always like to do a 16 scale Sherman. There was none out at the time other than like a Tamiya RC vehicle.
Yes, that's right.
He goes, no. And we started communicating. And I said, hey, I'd like to do the Easy 8 made sense to me first because I loved the Tamiya one that I had built, the 35th scale one. And I thought that's a perfect one to jump into because not only it does World War II, but then you can do Korea, and they used them for, it was a wider length of use for that particular vehicle.
Yeah.
And I approached them, and they were like, yeah, we'll do it for you. You know, if you got the money and up front and the idea, they'll do it. And of course, and now I have a very, very good relationship with TACOM, and all of my kits, all my American stuff are all engineered and designed here in the USA. We've got a bunch of American guys who have access to all the museums down here, so they have really good access to Shermans and M8s.
Yep.
I couldn't think of it, and 10s and all that kind of stuff down there. So it's worked out very, very good. And a lot of people don't realize it's about a year process for me to get it done.
Yep.
So when I make, oh yeah, it's there's a lot of times people will put on there, oh, it's a TACOM kit. Well, TACOM molded it for me. TACOM had no intentions of building that kit until I came to them and said, I would like to do this. So I go to them and I say, hey, we're going to do like the M8 that's coming out right now. In fact, we started that one back in March of last year, late March last year. The contracts all get signed. It immediately goes to our designers that are all over the U.S. They start measuring. And then about 5 months later, you see the first CAD drawings pop up. In fact, I was at IPMS Nationals in the U.S. in Texas last year in July when I got my first CAD drawings. And I was like, oh, this is cool looking. You get that, and then it's another 3 or 4 months for them to do the first test shot.
Yep.
And the first test shots go to me. I get rudimentary instructions. That's why I don't do builds on the first test shot, because it's
Sure.
kind of hard. I want to get it together and just go, hey, like the M8 fit together beautifully, but there's none of the textures on it yet, all that stuff. So that takes another 2 months, and then all the little things that you don't realize until you actually do it, like getting the decals done and getting the instructions, which instructions, believe it or not, are one of the hardest things in the world. And I know back in the day, before I knew about all that, we'd kind of make fun of some of the companies out there with butcher instructions. But after seeing what they have to do, obviously we want them right, but I have sympathy for them. I have some big sympathy for them, because it is, think about a guy, first of all, who's not a modeler, and then he gets this exploded view with 1,000 parts, put them all together off the sprue, and then put them back together in a format that a modeler can see and realize. So I definitely have sympathy for them when they start doing that.
Oh, definitely.
I know what you mean. I mean, my dad used to write workshop repair manuals, so I'm quite, that's all you need generally you need a communications course under your belt so that you know how to, deliver these things in a way that's understandable and makes sense. I had some other point, but I forgot what it was.
It's doing well.
That's how it gets it going on it. So, and obviously I don't announce the kit super far in advance, because there's a lot of other companies that are making very similar products to mine. But because of that, I get so excited about it, and then when the kit finally comes out, I've already moved on to other things, and I'm excited about it. But I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell you guys what's coming. Yeah. But because I've already known about the M8 for a year now, so it's not old news, but it's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to this is exciting. So, and actually, we've got 3 projects. Unfortunately, I would love to tell, but 3 more projects in the works right now, and they will be coming out throughout the rest of this year, announcing at least.
Sure.
Because we had a little online poll ourselves recently.
We had a huge online poll a couple of episodes ago, because we were just shooting the breeze here on an episode, and I said that the M113 would have to be one of the most popular kits you could produce, because some of the modelers ex-army and they've served in them, because we're all Cold War warriors and everything. And so we ran a little poll, what would you like to see in 1/16th? And I did a comparison between the Greyhound and the M113, and it came back 75% would rather have the M113 than the Greyhound. I hate to say that.
Yeah, but I reckon that a lot of those votes were because they disagreed with the way I put it. Because the way I put it was what resulted in the poll in the first place, and I was like, nah, I think there's been more people would rather see the Greyhound. I was the Greyhound. I was Team Greyhound.
Me too.
Right?
Okay. Julie and I were both Team Greyhound. Yes.
Well, I was Team M13, and there's so many guys out there in the modelling world who either served in the army, rode in the back of one, or even drove one. And these guys are
yeah.
these guys are fanatics about the M113, particularly if they served as a crew member on it. So
Yeah, and I contended that it's just a box, and an M113 is actually something that looks interesting, and it's World War II. Everyone loves World War II, right?
Yeah, mate, you mean.
Well, and that's it, and it's a great idea. The 113 is a wonderful idea, and you're right. I think the U.S. produced 70,000 plus
yes,
of them. So
yes.
every country in the world, I think, ended up with them. Lately, I've just been doing a little selfish. Since my name's on the box, it's things that I really go, oh my god, I really want to see. And at the time, I was like, I really want to see an M8 built up, and I was like, because I love that vehicle over and over again with the Tamiya one. And yeah, so, but no, it's definitely a good idea. I'm not denying that.
Well,
and
maybe,
I always stuck with because that's my wheelhouse right there. So.
Well, Andy, maybe you and I should talk offline about it then, producing an M113 together.
So with the Greyhound, there's like the other version of it with the cast turret, isn't it? Or the turret ring? I forget.
There's another version called the M20 that they remove the turret completely. They build a little bit of a superstructure up there, but then they change the inside. There's benches inside, and then there's a different turret ring with a 50 mounted up on top too. So that is a possibility. At the time when I was doing the M8, I was just like, well, let's see how the M8 goes. And it is possible. It shares a huge portion of the M8, so that's something. If we do, it would be down the road a little ways.
Yeah.
It's talked about, but we haven't made any firm decisions on it.
Well, it's one of those things where you got to sort of leave the door open, and then if you want to go through it, you can, and if you don't, you don't. You know.
No, absolutely, yes. And I literally got my M8 today, my final production model.
Oh, nice.
So I was looking at some of the pieces right here. They're still in the bags, and just going through all of that, checking it out, and then I am going to actually immediately start building that one, because right now the factories are all closed for Chinese New Year.
Yes.
So I don't have to super rush to get this one together. I've got a couple of weeks, and then I just do the final approval, and then they turned the machines on, and we should have them very, very soon. So
that's great news.
The other thing,
get it out.
The other thing I'm particularly interested in, and I without sort of going into too much detail how you do it, but looking at the build reviews and everything, the kits go together like a dream. They really fit well together. When you're sitting down having your discussions with the production company, do you say that, hey, listen, I want the tolerances to be X, or is that just because?
No. I mean, they all expect to know what quality they are. Like I said, my main two guys here in the U.S., one of them is actually based down in Georgia. His name is David. I'll shout out to him. He is wonderful. He's helped out a lot, and he has access to Fort Moore now. And it's one of the training schools down there for the Army, and they've got a couple hundred armored vehicles down there. So he's been instrumental getting that, and then we have a design team over here that does all the CAD work, all done up here, and they're relying on the real vehicle. So it's not always just books that they're relying on or museum shots. They're relying on ones that are in like military custody, where we're not worried about, sometimes museums change paint jobs and things like that are inaccurate. These guys are really sticklers for it. They go and they find, and the archives for the U.S. Army, obviously, they got a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So they can look back and go, hey, it should be like this, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that I have two guys over here mainly that are just incredible designers and CAD work guys that really do a wonderful, wonderful job.
This 1/16 scale, it's just so popular in the last, just pre-COVID even and post-COVID. It just seems to have exploded. And obviously a lot of that sort of, I don't know whether I guess we can sort of put it on your shoulders that you'll sort of help lead that wave through your production of your stuff. But it seems so extremely popular. But also what you've managed to do is the price point. You almost can't say no to buying one because of the price point of it.
Right, and I'm a small company in myself. I mean, I have employees and stuff, but when it comes to the plastic part of it, I strive my hardest to make them as affordable as possible. some people go, well, you could raise the price and, they're worth a lot more. And I'm like, that you're defeating the purpose here. I want to get them out to the masses. I want people to enjoy them. We can always make another production run. So it's good that we have a lot of people really getting excited about it. And I'm 54 right now. Most modelers are in my area right now.
Yes,
and I don't know about you, but I love giant parts that I can hold on to.
Yes.
And see, I got weird vision that I can see decent still up close. These are for far away. And I start looking at some of these tiny little 35th scale kits, and I'd look at them and I go, I can't even see the parts hardly anymore. And they go flying and they're gone. It's very hard to lose a 16 scale part. You got to try really hard to lose.
You've really got to be trying to do that.
Yeah, you make an important point.
And, absolutely. And I've had more and more modelers who would do, I don't do 16s, they're too big. And then they try one. And there's some very famous guys around the world that have built some of my kits.
Yes.
And they go, I don't want to go back to anything smaller again. It's that incredible. And so I'm thrilled with that people are getting it. And yes, it's not for everybody, because there's guys who build 72nd and they're thrilled with that. And I think that's wonderful. But like I said, I try my hardest here to keep it. We don't go through a lot of different distributors that keep tacking on money too. We are more directed as possible that we can to keep the price down. So
I mean, because some of your kits, your 1/16 scale kits, are even cheaper than aircraft kits
or a Dragon kit in 1/35th scale.
1/35th scale.
Right, absolutely, and they're all doing the same thing, and it's just how it is. The more hands that touch something, every hand that touches it, the price goes up.
It's often the case where the manufacturer can't really do much with what dictating what the retailers sell them for, but because you're the retailer yourself, everyone has to.
And then they all
set
want
the
to
precedent,
be
right?
With me, exactly, right.
Yeah.
So, and we give them the opportunity that they can still make money, because obviously this is still a business for them, and I totally understand that. But my first and foremost love is getting the kits out to the people.
Yeah.
I like talking to them, going to the nationals or any of the other model shows that we attend. We get out to the people, and they all. It's a nice feeling when they go, thank you for doing this kind of stuff. These are things that we wanted for so long that no company would produce it, or if they did, it's a $300 to $400, $500 kit, which a lot of guys are not going to be able to afford a lot of those. We're trying to keep that price point like the M8 with the full interior, all that detail for $100 US. So
that's crazy money.
Yeah,
that's giving it away, Andy.
Right. And the other thing I love about that too is some of the people, they try to talk themselves out of it, and I don't ever push, but they go, oh, it must use a ton of paint, and I'm like, I promise you, the amount of paint in your cup that you throw out or pour back into the bottle will paint the entire vehicle.
Yes.
It doesn't take that much paint.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is they go, well, it takes up so much storage space. And I go, the last guy that told me that, I go, don't you have like 500 to 600 model kits in your collection? Yeah. And those are not taking up a lot of space.
Yes.
And he goes,
Good point.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Good point.
And then he ends up buying one and loves it. And so sometimes it's psychological. They get this mindset, oh, it's going to be huge. It's smaller than most 48 scale bombers,
Very true.
So, and I've got them all lined up in a display case off to the side over here, and they're big, but they're not ridiculous.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure. And also because of the scale and the size, you can really get into the minutiae of the weathering and the detailing as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Really
and
lends
there's
itself.
So many aftermarket companies now, and you're right. So after I talked to Das Work going into that, that's when the explosion saw, because he loved it, and of course he started producing more 16, and then I did mine, and now we've got all these companies like H3 models doing the figures.
Yeah.
And Soul models doing aftermarket parts, and all these other parts that just popped up out of nowhere so much, and they're all doing 16 scale. And I love to see that, and they reach out and say, hey, what can we do with this? And I'm like, hey, the sky's the limit on what you can do with it. So,
well, not doing the interior, I think that's the way things are going, both in aircraft as well. It's right. To a point now where it's sort of like, why would we produce an interior in plastic when when you can make it in resin so much better and leave it to the people who want to opt in rather than put it in the box and make people pay for it up front.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. So to do an interior, obviously we have access to all the interiors, but it would literally almost double the price to do a complete interior like what they're talking on a normal tank, or at least another $70 to $80 more. And you're right, it's let the aftermarket company. A lot of people will say, oh, I love the interiors, but they don't buy them. And I know that for a fact because there's a lot of kits that come out that I have full access to, that I see that they produce an interior one and one without. And the ones without interior usually sell 10 to 15 times more without the interior. Everybody likes the idea of the interior, but not many people want to attempt it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it
and
the
ones who do attempt it, they can't just leave it as it is. They need to improve upon it by buying aftermarket anyway.
Right, absolutely. and that's the whole point of this. There are so many, as a model store owner, I've gotten a little bit more in depth with customers, and I know what customers always ask for and want because they tell me. And that really helps rather than being completely isolated from the public. And you think you know what you want right there, but I'm listening to these people and they say, yeah, the interiors are great, but I don't want to spend all the money on it. I want to be able to build it. And there's some guys who want to put it together on a weekend. And there's some guys who want to spend 6 months on a vehicle. And that's great. There's room for both people. And then one is not right or wrong, depending on however much detail. And that's how I kind of got my YouTube thing going. I understand I never claimed to be the spectacular modeler, but I was good enough. And I showed the average modeler that came into my store that even with just some basic stuff, you can build it and have fun. And if you're having fun, then nothing else I think matters at that point. Is these guys come in and it doesn't matter to what level they're building out. I mean, you see the look in there and they coming in, they bring it to me and they go, look how excited they are about it. And I go, that's what it's supposed to be. This was when we all started this when we were kids for the most part.
That we did, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Remember the fun, I mean, I remember sitting in my grandmother's house, flying those airplanes around, and if you were lucky, we got a can of paint that we painted it, and a P61 black Red from Monogram. I remember flying there. I had thumbprints all in the paint because the tester's enamel took 6 years to dry.
Yes.
I didn't care. I was like, there was glue all over it, but I was having fun with it, and I don't know. That's what I personally think this hobby means to a lot of guys.
Well, I mean,
and especially with those old Monogram kits, you always came with a little Shep paint booklet.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And that when I first saw that changed my modeling. Totally.
Absolutely. I was like, oh my God, you can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, okay.
Well, it's important to remember that even though we all aspire to be a master modeler at some point in our life, most of us is just average, And
we do it as a hobby.
That's the kind of models that you produce on your YouTube channel, right? The everyday modeler's expectation of what's within reach.
Yeah, absolutely. And at one point, I used to spend a lot more time doing really long builds. And this was back when I had my other store in San Diego, and I actually got really burnt out with it. And believe it or not, I owned a hobby store, and for about a year, I didn't build anything because I just didn't want to do that. And then one day I just said, okay, I'm going to build this, but I'm going to build it just for the fun of it. And if it's not 100% this and that accurate, fine. I'm just going to have fun with it. And after that, that's the way I've done it ever since. And that's what I try to portray in the YouTube thing. And I think that's why maybe my channel took off, because I was showing people you don't have to be at this master level.
Yeah.
And if you don't get there, it's absolutely okay not to be there.
Yeah.
You're having fun with it. So that's what I like to see about it. And everybody, smiling and laughing and having fun. And that's what everybody, would like to strive in modeling, I think. So.
Andy, I think that brick and mortar model shop owners are well placed to sort of have their finger on the pulse. Ian, you'll remember we had a very good model shop and a good friend, John, who he owned a brick and mortar hobby store, and he went and produced his own model kits. He started off with the Collins class submarine that we use here in the Australian Navy, and he was deep in development of a Anzac class frigate before his untimely passing. And it just seems that for some reason the model shop owners, well, of course you're uniquely placed. You know what the customers want. So I think you're in an even better position to understand what the modelling public wants
and what they expect.
And what they thank you, Ian. What they expect above and beyond what the manufacturers themselves come up with.
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. You have to take some of it with a grain of salt because, sometimes people go, you should build a 16 scale.
Yeah.
And then they use the most obscure vehicle in the world. And you're like, they produced one in real life. And you're like, I appreciate that, but that's not something that market.
Well, we've all seen that on the internet. We need one of these, and you've never heard of it, right?
You want it that bad? Scratch build it.
Yeah.
Right. And so far, I've made kits that have really excited me because I wanted to do. It's ones I've done in 35th scale. I go, I really want to see this. So I was. My grandfather fought in World War II, and there was a lot of battles that I was looking into the battles, and I kept seeing certain vehicles over and over again in these battles, which I hadn't really looked at before. And one of them was the M10, and some of the battles of the Hurtgen Forest. And I didn't realize. I always just picture, you always just saw tanks. Well, no, these are all tank destroyers that I'm looking at, and that's what kind of got me excited. And then you see them all loaded down with tons of packs, and that's kind of how the thing started with the M10. I'm like, that is a cool vehicle that we don't really see as much about, but in the videos I was watching, the old
everywhere.
1944, they were everywhere, and I'm like, they never really recognized that fact, and that's what got me excited. And right alongside were M8 Greyhounds.
Exactly.
Cool. And it's funny until you actually think and actually really pay attention, like the Weasel, the M29 that Tacom made in 35th, and I obviously had heard of the vehicle, but I never thought too much about it. And then I watched more of those footage. I go, they're everywhere again.
Yeah.
I was like, well, how did I miss these all these years looking at this video? Because I was very focused on something else. So
yes.
No, well, I think a lot of US vehicles are very sort of a very huge part of the war, right? Because they didn't have that many. It's not like the Germans where they had many iterations of so many different types of tanks. So everything was sort of like, okay, you've got your Sherman, you've got your M10, you've got your Greyhound, you've got your Stuart. You know, and there's no reason why they can't be.
It's basically the same thing.
And by and large, the running gear was the same, or the hull size was the same.
And you could do, and as Andy said earlier, with all the aftermarket companies, like you can probably get Dozer blades, Calliopes. There's like I watched a video just recently. It was no sound. It was just one of those war color footage, and had like a line of Shermans going in through Germany, and the different variations in one shot. There must have been about 7 different variations of the same Sherman.
Right, absolutely. And the U.S., we produced, I think, close to 50,000 Shermans during the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and then, every time there'd be a little tweaking, but we kind of started figuring out certain things like all the M4A3s all had that Ford V8 engine in it.
Yep.
And then like the Chrysler multi-bank, the USGIs didn't like it, so they gave it to the British. They said they liked it. So, and then the diesel, other than the M10, and all this makes sense, obviously, for logistics. Other than the M10, which was a diesel, all the diesel Shermans went to the Pacific or to the Russians.
Yep.
So, when it's nothing worse, I can imagine that a fuel truck pulls up with gas and you've got a diesel engine. What are you going to do? It's like, so, yeah. So it makes it very simple that way.
Well,
but it's...
Yeah, I mean, what I meant to say is, like, because there's not that many major types of American vehicles, all of them should be kits, right? All of them are fairly core subjects.
Majority of them, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a secret
And
to.
little by little, they're coming out that way too.
Yeah.
In fact, someone pointed out to me, if you take my Easy 8 Sherman and you take the hull and remove all the tracks and running gear and fenders, and then take my M10 running gear, which is all the M10 is based on the M4A1.
Yep.
The whole lower part, or A2, excuse me, the diesel one. So you could take all that stuff off and made them together. And if you build the Fisher factory, this is how some guys get really into it. They told me it has that same turret that you don't have to put the split loaders hatch on it. The Fisher factory in the U.S. made it with the single hatch that's on my Easy 8. So now it's got me thinking. I'm looking. I got piles of extra parts I keep from the prototype and stuff. I'm like, should I mess with this right here? But then people are going to go, well, why aren't you producing it? So if I might build it on the side and just show people later on.
Yeah, this is what you can do.
An M4 A376 wet, so which saw a little bit more of the war.
Yeah, see, that's getting into like Dragon models territory where they have all the different sort of different pieces as different sprues, and then you sell a different boxing with like all the different sprues put in a box, and you got too many sprues and try to cover all the different subvariants.
Yeah, that one would require someone to have two of the full kits, because there is a lot off of one kit and a lot off the other one. But that 76 wet Sherman was used a lot through, at least from, I think it landed at Normandy or just right after Normandy. So everything that the U.S. is in the European ETO, so.
Cool.
So but you're right. American stuff is very easy to kind of put together that way.
Well, Andy, I'm going to call this episode "Go Large or Go Home." Just before we ask you whereabouts people can find you and all the rest of it, I just want to point out some statistics. So the US produced 50,000 Shermans, but they produced 70,000 M113s. Just dropping that little gem down on the table there for you.
He won't leave it alone.
You're right, and I'll definitely think more and more about it. My whole thing about that, like I said, it was just saying about hyper-focused. I was really just always looking at World War II, because that was always my main thing. But I will definitely look into other subjects. For sure.
There you go. Dave has sown the seed.
Well, of course, anybody who wants to get in touch with you, Andy, how can they get in touch with you to discuss the possible M113 if they want to see one?
I think they should write to you.
Smart words.
No, comments on YouTube. I always would, not hesitant, but to put polls up like that for me, because then I don't want people to go, oh, he doesn't listen to any of it. Because then when something else totally comes out, and they get mad at you, and I'm like, and remember, it's a year in advance, so everything that's planned for the rest of this year has already been locked in on, and anything that we plan would be for the following years. But no, I definitely take suggestions. I absolutely do. So it's and I even got a good friend who was a driver on an M113. But he's a World War II guy, and he never even brought it up to me to build that. So I was like, oh.
Also, I mean, like you said earlier, it is partially a passion project for you as well. So there's always a portion of self-interest in there. And if I could build have my own models designed, of course I'd want my stuff represented.
Yeah, exactly right.
Kind of like that. And there was a funny story with my wife in the beginning. When we first signed the contract for the Sherman, I couldn't tell anybody yet, but I would talk to her all the time on it, and she goes, "Man, you won't stop talking about this project, will you?" And I go, "Well, if this fails, you will never stop talking about this project."
That's true.
Yes.
But we were very lucky, and it's in fact the first Sherman and our Tiger are completely sold out worldwide now. So
that's marvelous news.
Distribution wise, I mean, there might be stores that still have them.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, very happy with it.
Where can people find Andy Hobbies? So this is your chance to tell the world about your shop front, about your shop online, about your YouTube channel, about your Facebook page. Let it rip, Andy.
Well, easy enough. If you're in the U.S. and Canada, my website is andyshhq.com. We thought we'd make it a little easier for people rather than spelling out Andy's Hobby Headquarters. And on YouTube, that is under Andy's Hobby Headquarters. Or if you just put Andy and Hobby in YouTube, I come up. So you'll see my face on all of those things right there. And around the world, I'm trying to get to more and more shows everywhere. Not promising, but I would love to visit Australia for sure.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
Yes, I would be excited to go down there. My wife goes, "That's the place with all the very dangerous animals."
Yeah, but
well, it's funny. A lot of the major, or all the major hobby shows in Australia actually listen to this podcast, so you might get a few emails sort of coming through to you in the near future. Now that you said that
would be wonderful. Yeah, this year I will be attending Heritage Con in Canada, in Toronto, outside of Toronto. So I have a lot of, obviously all the English-speaking countries. I know a little bit more. So Canada, I'm excited to go up there, and then we're going to IPMS Nationals.
Oh, I'll see you there. I'll see you there because I'm heading up there this year as well.
Oh, wonderful, excellent. That's wonderful. That's the best thing, because anytime I go to a show, I commit myself that for those days, nothing else matters but that the people there at the show.
Yeah.
And I spend 7 hours talking, and to the point where I like to talk a lot too. And get all the people that show up, and I love that part where I'm not interrupted by other things. I can just concentrate on hearing stories and talking to modelers. And I love that. It's a wonderful experience to go to the shows, and I want to do more and more of them. And now we're committed to doing that, starting mainly there. But I am also going to go to SMC this year as well, Scale Model
cool.
Challenge in Holland.
Yes.
So I've got a lot of very good friends in Germany, and we're gonna do that show too. So I get to see a lot of the European modelers, and then hopefully someday get down to Australia. I want to do that even not as a modeler. I just want to get to Australia.
Sure.
And that might be able to happen maybe next year. So.
Oh, fantastic. That'd be great.
You let us know, and we'll be there and help guide you around. And we can sort of tell you some of the good places to go and have a look at. There's some fantastic museums here in Australia that
excellent.
Perhaps the rest of the world doesn't know about.
Right. I watched that channel on YouTube about the Australian Armour Museum.
Oh, yes, the one up in Darwin, yes.
And I'm like, I am so jealous. I don't have so.
Yeah, I know.
I'd love to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great meeting guys like you that, like I said, if I do go down there, I can get some of the ins and outs of where to go and, what to do. And we're a small community worldwide, but we all stick together pretty well.
That we
mate,
do.
You couldn't not come out here and not have a beer with us. I'll give you that tip right now.
Absolutely. I would love it.
Well, in the meantime, I'll catch you in Madison in July. And
excellent. I'm excited. I didn't realize you were going, but that's wonderful. We'll definitely meet up there.
No worries. And thanks very much for being on the show. It's been a fantastic conversation, and I'm sure our listeners will get as much enjoyment out of it as certainly we have sitting around here having a chat to you today as well. It's been fantastic. So thanks very much, Andy.
Well, anytime, I would be happy to come on again. I'm thrilled to get the invitation, and I'm happy to meet with you guys.
Well, you know what? Maybe if you've got an announcement coming up, you could perhaps just drop us a line, and we're more than happy to have you on the show to sort of talk about that.
I absolutely will. Then the next announcement that we will be making is, I see, for sure in May, and we'll be doing one at IPMS Nationals too. So possibly for around the one in May, we can get together and talk about it.
Absolutely. So long as we can get in before those reprobates from the Triple P, I'm more than happy to do that.
Those guys and my friend Darren.
D-Ran, yeah.
Darren, yes.
Yeah, so all of those guys, I know that I've got a list of the podcasts I need to do this coming up, so I'm excited about that. These are all guys I've known for a long time, and it's great to actually, talk about modeling like
well,
that.
We're actually all really good mates behind the scenes, so we have a lot of fun sort of ribbing each other and having a laugh at each other's expense. So, anytime I can beat them to the punch with an announcement that nobody else has got, Andy, just dropping a hint there.
That is so wonderful too. I have a friend. He's a model car guy, so we make fun of him because he builds model cars.
So's Julian, but
But the funniest thing is, he and I before COVID would do videos together. He's got the Lucas C channel. He's a model car channel.
Oh,
on YouTube.
right.
Yeah, and he's been a friend of mine forever, and we're friends forever. So we make fun of each other, and people would go, "Why are you so mean to Lucas?" I'm like, "Buddy, I'm just teasing him. I'm not serious about this stuff. This is the way we are. This is the way guys are." Like,
that's it.
If you don't have a good friend that you can make fun of, I feel bad for you.
Yeah,
that's it. Totally agree.
Yep.
All right, mate. You have a good one. And once again, thanks very much for being on the show. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Been a lot of fun. All right, I'll see you later.
And absolutely, you have a great day now.
Will do.
G'day.
G'day, mate.
Well, that was an absolutely fantastic discussion with Andy. It doesn't seem like
what a great guy.
I know.
What a great guy.
I can't wait to have a beer with him at Nationals.
Yeah, you got to have one for us too.
Oh, well, really excited that he might be coming out to Oz as well. I know there's a couple of modelling shows that would be very keen to snaffle him up.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
most definitely.
He's going to have no trouble finding somewhere to go while he's out here.
Yep.
So that brings us to the end of the show, dudes.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, it's been a long one.
Yeah, it is. We haven't done a one this long in a long time.
Very true.
Yeah, I don't know. Just on 2 hours. Any parting pearls of wisdom?
Don't forget, guys, the 48-hour bash is coming up.
Oh, tell us more about that, Ian.
It's
So let's start from the beginning.
That starts off on Friday, the 8th of March, 2024.
And what is the 48 Scour?
Well, basically, it's a group of all us modelers and podcasters get together. It's for charity.
Yep.
And you have to build a kit from start to finish in 48 hours. There's a auction in between, so we'll be auctioning off kits.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, money goes to a good cause.
Which is Model for Heroes, a UK charity
Correct.
for returned
Soldiers,
servicemen
yep.
and also first responders.
Yes, and this will be my third year doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Callum from Micro Machines joining us.
Oh, good.
Which is a good bonus to have someone of his calibre on board. John Marley, of course, he's very heavily influenced.
Yep.
We're going to have a green room. So if there's certain people we know that want to join in and don't mind being on the live stream, because it'll be live streamed on, it's either going to be Zoom or StreamYard. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube and Facebook.
Terrific. And we'll post a flyer on our main Facebook page.
And as information comes in with schedules and that, I'll be posting that as well and keep everyone updated.
Okay.
I've got my kit chosen this year.
Beautiful. What are you going to build?
Well, for the last 2 years, I thought I played it smart and went, I'm building something quick and easy. So for the last 2 years, I've been building Tamiya vehicles in 48 scale. The first one was the Komatsu tractor. And the second one was the US, was it GMC or something, fuel truck.
Yep.
And they're really good. And I did quite well with those the last 2 years. I even had time to do a proper base for both of them. This year I'm going to do something with wings.
You going to say, or is it?
I'm doing a Yokosuka Oka.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Bren gun kit. It's got one sprue.
Right.
This is the jet powered version, the one that didn't actually see combat.
But you're pretty busy hosting it anyway, so you don't. So, you're tight.
But I am planning on putting this one on a base. Okay. I've got two options at the moment. I was discussing with Julian off air.
Right.
The one I really want to do is I don't know if I'll have the full 48 hours to pull it off.
Sure.
That was one that Chris Becker would really like, just to give you an idea. And it was in flight.
So that's Model for Heroes, 48-hour build coming up again and it's a really great session. You get people from all around the world popping on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
all the guys from America will be there,
and
from Europe.
You get a chance to talk to Ian direct while he's leading the Aussie contingent.
Yep.
So if you want to drop in and say g'day, you can do so. And the dates for that again are?
Hang on. I'll just grab it again. My TV, my phone just turned itself off.
Put some thinking music.
Here we go. It is Friday. Starts Friday, the 8th of March, 2024. That's in English time. So we'll have all the American and Australian times up when we get them.
Yep.
So be there. Join us. You can always send us messages, help out, and maybe bid on a kit.
Yeah, there's some great online bids happening as
well.
Yeah.
And guaranteed, like for the last few years, people have been picking up good kits for half the price you get them anywhere else.
And not just kits, paint sets and tools and stuff like that as well. So there's a great range of hobby suppliers who also contribute to it as well.
That's right. Yes.
It's a great weekend. I've participated in two. And unfortunately, that weekend I'm not positioned to sort of jump in. Hence the reason why. Yep. And you're leading it again. Then,
yes.
So it's pretty much your gig.
Yes. John Marley and myself usually take control.
Very cool. Looking forward to that.
Yes.
Julian.
I haven't anything to say.
Oh,
well, there you go. Short and sweet. Just the way we like it.
All right, guys, thanks very much for being with us. Don't forget, there's a whole heap of other wonderful podcasts to listen to.
Yes.
Go to Scalpodcast. No, it's not. Let me start again. Just go to podcast.com. It's a fantastic
Did you just say podcast.com?
Scalemodelpodcast.com.
Is it scalemodelpodcast.com? Oh,
Dave.
Giddy aunt.
You can tell he's slipping now.
No, it's podcast. Oh, it is ScaleModelPodcast.com.
Yeah, see, told you.
Apologies to our good Canadian mate Stuart who set this up, and it's a landing page for all the podcasts, as well as a couple of really fantastic blogs as well. So you can go along there and find all the other podcasts. And don't forget, where you do listen to a podcast, give it a rating. It just helps with the algorithms to sort of get them lifted. And if you know somebody who doesn't listen to podcasts,
Get them involved.
get them involved. Absolutely.
We're a great community.
We sure are. Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful ongoing support. And we'll be back in a fortnight. So I'll see you later.